But bottom line is that it's all about accountability. But what is accountability? Well, first let's talk about what accountability is not. It is not about fear or stress. It is not about punishing people or yourself for making a big mistake. Now, I've been doing this a long time. I'm in the education space over 20 years now, and I've met thousands of you either flying out here to our office or us being out on the road putting on real estate investment seminars. And I think one of the most unfortunate types of people I've met are the people who have tried this before unsuccessfully and tried it again unsuccessfully and tried it again, and now find yourself in a position where you're not getting a lot of positive support from anybody because there's just this wake of failed attempts. But did you fail because it was the wrong market? Did you fail because it was the right time? Or did you fail because you didn't have the right team? You weren't holding yourself accountable. You weren't holding those around you accountable. And as a result, you never got any real traction. Said differently, I don't care how many times you have unsuccessfully started. It doesn't mean that you can't finally achieve the success that you're looking for, but it does mean that we have to come at this a different way. We've got to approach this differently than we have in the past. Now, for those of you that have been successful at this, were you as successful in 2020 as you could have been or that you thought you would be? And COVID was disruptive, but how did you maneuver through COVID? Now, I will tell you guys that we set really aggressive goals for our company in 2020, really aggressive goals. And I would venture to guess that half the staff thought never going to happen. But by October, we had already hit the goal. We were living well ahead of objective. We hit the goal by October. And so we set a new goal, a stretch goal, and we said, hey guys, look, if we can hit this, then not only are we going to, hit this incredible milestone of achievement, but we're also going to give you guys 2 weeks off. And we hit that goal. Now, as I look back over the year, and I think, okay, what was it that attributed to hitting the big goal and then hitting the stretch goal? Well, number one, God is the CEO of this company, and I share that openly with anybody and everybody. We pray at our staff meetings. We have Tuesday morning prayer meetings here at our office. God is a big part of this business. He is this business, and he's the CEO. So we look to him to lead and guide and direct. So it was God's provision and God's grace on this business. Additionally, it was God bringing us the right people. I mean, we attracted talent. We have some of the most talented people within this organization that we've ever had. Self-managed people that hold themselves accountable, people that are driven to hit and accomplish goals. This is a big part of our success. But as I looked at it, I thought, the one thing I would attribute more to the success than anything else is that I, for the first time in a lot of years, hired an executive CEO coach, somebody that could hold me accountable and say, Lee, what are your goals? Did you achieve what you set out to achieve last week, last quarter? And I've been on phone calls with her every other week and holding me accountable, holding my feet to the fire. That, more than anything, I think has been a big catalyst in getting us where we need to go. All of the greats have coaches. You guys have heard this a million times. Anybody that's going to do anything of significance has a coach, a mentor, somebody that's supporting them and holding them accountable. Because accountability is not a blame game. It's not an intimidation device to make people or yourself perform. Rather, accountability is a willingness to hold yourself to a higher standard that improves the performance of yourself and your organization. It also is being willing to be held accountable by others. Now, I have a guilty confession, and my wife can attribute this more than anyone. I don't like being held accountable. One of the reasons I became an entrepreneur is I didn't like being told what to do. I didn't like people giving me a box and saying, you need to show up at this time, and you can go home this time, and you can make this much money, and if you do these things, then you get that. That didn't work for me. So I became an entrepreneur really because I was unemployable. I mean, anybody that wanted to hire me just drove me crazy, and I ended up quitting or leaving. I just was not a good employee because I did not like to be held accountable. Now, fast forward 25 years. My wife and I were having a conversation on the phone this evening, and I'm going to share this with you a little later. But one of the goals that I set for myself with my kids, I knew there was no way I was ever going to achieve it. So today I went out and made a conscious effort to get a coach to help me on this one initiative. And she says, Lee, I don't understand you. You're like the anti-box guy. And she's right, because I suffer from extreme claustrophobia. You put me in a box, whether it be a physical box or a metaphorical box, I'm like freaking out. But I've learned over the years that the only way I'm going to successfully accomplish anything is if I am regularly checking in with somebody, committing to perform at a level, and having them hold me accountable. And the more success we have in this organization, the more success I have as an individual, the more I crave this accountability. So what happens when you're not accountable? Well, you create resentment among partners or team members who have different standards of performance. You encourage mediocrity. You illustrate a hypocrisy between words and actions. You miss deadlines and key deliverables, and you place undue burden on your life, your partner, your family, and your team members because I'll get to it, right? All of us have a laundry list of honeydews that we haven't gotten to. I can tell you this, if you hire an accountability partner to help you achieve your laundry list from your spouse, it would already be done. Bottom line, we don't take orders from our spouse very well. That's a problem, especially for those of you that are looking to build a business with your spouse. Now, my wife is the CFO of this company. She has a master's degree in finance. She is 10 times smarter than I could ever hope to be. And over 15 years now of working together, we have figured out how to successfully kind of stay in our lane. But if you have not had that conversation with your spouse about how you think and work and respond and react, you're going to have a very difficult time getting any traction with your spouse because you guys are trying to tell each other what to do, and neither one is being real receptive or responsive to that. Boy, what better than somebody to come in and say, hey, you're doing this, you're doing that. My wife and I are working, and I'm hoping it'll come out this year. Hoping in a conversation about goal setting. I'm hoping it'll come. It's coming out this year, and the title of the book is How to Effectively Work with Your Spouse in Building a Business. So be looking for that on bookshelves here in the next several months, but I'm committing to you it will be done in 2021. Randy Pausch, who is the author of The Last Lecture. If you guys have not seen this was on Oprah years ago, but a very, very powerful speech. He said, when you're screwing up and nobody says anything to you anymore, that means they've given up on you. So for those of you that have attempted to start businesses and unsuccessfully, and now you're telling spouse or significant others or life partners that you're going to go do this thing, and they're just like, yeah, whatever. Okay, that's what this is saying. You've got to change the expectation. We don't want them to expect failure. We want them to expect success. So my question to you is this: do you want to be accountable? Or do you want to be the screw up that no one says anything to anymore because they've given up on you? That's a terrible place to be in. And I know that that's not for a lot of you, but I know there's a handful of you listening and watching right now, and I'm speaking directly to you.